Hello everyone, welcome back to New SObject. My name is Avnish and today we are going to discuss about another interview question. This question was asked during the Walmart interview and one thing, the most important thing is this same question I have put it over the LinkedIn as a poll and 92% people has given the wrong answer. So I thought it's very important to make the video and let the people know how a tricky questions asked during a Salesforce interview. So let's get started. Okay, so today's interview question is write a trigger on the contact object that when the email is updated, find the user with the same email address and update the corresponding user record. So now we all know there are two types of objects in Salesforce. One is setup, the other one is non-setup. Non-setup are objects, some Salesforce standard objects. Apart from that, we have a custom object. So, and setup objects are objects which like a user profile, groups, etc. So there's a huge list is available, right? Now, we all heard or know that when we are doing the DML operation in both the object setup and non-setup in the same transaction, we are getting an error. Okay, and for that we have to use future method or queuable jobs or some type of, let's say, any asynchronous process. Okay, to break this transaction so that setup we can do in a same single transaction and non-setup we can do in a separate transaction. Okay, and let's keep this in the mind. Okay, now I will write a trigger. I'm not jumping the handler classes and all those things. I'm not writing all those things, right? I just start writing over the trigger itself logic. So uh, I'm going to write this trigger on the after update. Now, for example, contact on each trigger dot new. Okay, so I will say when the email address is changed, only in that case we have to do. So let's say trigger dot map dot get on each dot id and or let's say not equals to con each dot email, and here forgot to put the email. Okay, so the criteria is when the email is going to be changed at that point of time, we'll do that. Now let's make a set to collect all these email addresses. So we'll say email set, a new set string. The next thing is we'll put this set, fill this set with the email address. So we need to find actually the old email IDs. So let's take this old email ID in the set. Here we go. And here, let's say we will do null check practice. I will definitely not follow all the practices, but yeah, whatever I will see here in this code, I will do that. So again, I'm going to query over the user object. So let's say user list equals to id comma name from user where email and the set. Okay, and let's take the email also, but it's not required, but anyways we'll take it. Then we'll do one thing. We'll iterate this loop here. User each and this list. Let's create a map of string comma user email with user, where the key is our email address and then value is user object record. So again, yeah, let's do that. There could be also scenarios, right, with the uh, where one email address can have multiple users. So I'm not going with that scenario, right? But yeah, of course, in that case, you have to do something like with the list of this user, right? Uh, this way. But I'm not considering right now. I'm considering, let's say, one user will have one uh, email address have one user, okay? And let's say dot contains key where user each dot email. If it does not contain dot put email comma user each, okay? And then I will iterate this for loop again, okay? Here we go. And that case, so one thing we will check, the of course the email address should not match the previous value and the old value. And the next thing is we will check whether this email is containing inside this map, or do we have it already available in user with that email address. So we'll say here for the our old email address, let's put it here, okay? And if this contains, right, what we will do is we'll take the whole value here, we'll get, and this will return what. So if you remember in my previous video, I have splitted this whole values in a different lines, but this time I'm going to write it in a one statement. So this returns users, and then we'll put this way saying the email field will be our con each dot email, which is the new value. Here we go. We'll see. We'll go here, and if this dot is empty, actually not is empty, then we'll update email dot value. Let's deploy. We'll see how many times we are getting the error here. Okay, one error, which is here we go at line 16, saying trigger dot, oh, here should be old map, and this one also old map. Here we go, old map. Here we go, old map. Save this, deploy again. My bad. All right, the deployment is done. So now it's time to test it. Let's go. We'll jump here. This is my email address, which is currently have one user. which have the same email address. Now I will change this email address of the contact, so the trigger will run email to new subject. Okay, save the email. We'll see if I'm getting any. Verify this. It's got verified. Go back, refresh it. And you can see my email address has been changed. Now the question is why we are not getting the mixed email exception. So you might be curious about to know why the mixed email exception is not coming. The reason is, if you can see here, this restriction exists because some of SObject affects the user's access to the record in the org. So which is impacting on the security, right? If you are updating those fields, let's say for example, that is going to provide you the mixed DML exception. And if you will scroll down here and you will read this statement, right? You can update a user in a transaction with the other SObject in Apex code after this API version, and the following fields are not updated. So in the user object, if you are not updating these fields, right, then you will not get the mixed GML exception. Okay, so let's say for example, I will go back to my code, and here, let's say during that point of time, I will say I wanted to make the user as inactive. Okay, so let's go here. Is active is our field, and we'll say false. Let's try now. Code is deployed. Let's go back here. We'll change the user to my previous one. Here we go. See, we got the mixed DML exception. So this tricky question, sometimes the interviewer asks you to understand how deeply you understand your mixed DML exception thing. So remember, right? Setup and non-setup object, if we are doing a DML operation in the same transaction, we can get the mixed DML exception, but it is not mandatory that you will get the mixed DML exception. So thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video.